There are so many videos out there about baby must-haves that, if we're being for real, are not truly must-haves. They are a list of conveniences that we have been accustomed to feeling like we're needing because of consumerism, capitalism, all that kind of stuff. We feel like we need all these things for our babies, and really, they just need us. They just need their mommy love, and they do need some diapers. So I just really wanted to provide a video that truly gets into what you actually need when you have a baby. I mean, if you are a person who is a minimalist, then this video is for you. If you're someone who just doesn't have a lot of space and they rather not have a clutter, then this video is for you. Or if you're someone who is on a budget and you're not trying to buy excessive things that you don't need, then this is definitely the video for you. I do have a must-have video where I go over the conveniences and the luxuries that you can have with all the must-haves for your baby. But as I was making it and as I watched other videos, I really thought to myself, like, okay, but we really need to get down like into the nitty-gritty of what you need. Although I have those things, when I had my daughter, I was moving from state to state. I was in Miami, I was in Houston, I was in Chicago, I was in DC. And because of that, I had to really key in on what I needed, because I can't travel on the plane with a high chair and a bassinet and all these big old items. I just really needed the bare minimum. So I can say that I do have experience of knowing like just what you need. Like we just don't need all the extras. So let's get started with feeding. So of course you have two options. You can do breastfeeding or you can do formula. I breastfed both of my babies, and with breastfeeding, of course, you are the nutrition, so you don't need anything. Frankly, you just need to be able to breastfeed. If I did have to include like a must-have for breastfeeding, I would say it's very useful to have nipple pads, because you will leak, and if you don't have something to catch the breast milk, then it'll leak all through your shirt and all through your bra. So I suggest getting nipple pads. You can get disposable or you can get rewashable nipple pads, and they come like in bulk, and you just put it in the washing machine or hand wash it, and you use it again. And I have a whole breastfeeding video, by the way, that you can check it. I will link it above. So with breastfeeding, you'll need nipple pads, and then another thing I might recommend is a Hawka milk catcher. That just also helps catch that milk that's leaking out. So instead of going into the nipple pad, you can catch it into the milk catcher, and that'll help you build a stash if that's something that you're interested in doing. Now that's all you need for breastfeeding. If you are a person who intends on pumping, then of course you will need things like a pump. Call your insurance company if you have insurance and see what breast pump they offer for free. Because I do believe they have different discount levels for different pumps. So see if you can get a free one through your insurance company. And then if you can't, of course, you can check out different options. And then if you really just want to save costs, and if you don't have insurance, you can really get by with a manual pump. You don't necessarily need an electric pump. The manual pumps are very efficient. The difference between electric and a manual is that electric, it's just run by a motor. Manual, there's no motor. You just hand express with the machine. It's very effective. I even know people who prefer the manual breast pump over the electric. So it's really fine. And it's like maybe $20 or something. It's inexpensive relative to the electric pumps. And then of course, if you're gonna pump, then you're gonna need a bottle. Don't go crazy with the bottles. I feel like if you really wanna do bare minimum, you could have two, so you can rotate with two bottles. But I like the Komotomo bottles because they're silicone, but I would just recommend getting a durable bottle so that you can use it over and over again without having any issues. And the last thing you'll need would be like storage bags for the milk, so that you can put it in the freezer, and whenever you're ready to pull it out, you defrost the milk. And you do not need a bottle warmer. Please, you really don't need one. I have a bottle warmer and I don't even use it that much often. I just get warm water from the sink, or I'll heat up water on the stove, or like in my little electric kettle, and I'll put that water in a bowl, put my milk in it, let it get to room temperature, and that's enough. So you do not need a bottle warmer. As far as like bibs and burp cloths, I liked using cloth diapers because they're super absorbent, and I didn't use them for diapering. Instead, I used them as a burp cloth, so I would put it over my shoulder. I basically used it for everything. It was like anything that the baby need, I wiped up, spit up, whether it was on me or fell on the floor, or if there was something like I was changing my baby, I would even lay it down. It was a very versatile product. So if you're looking for something that's super absorbent for the baby and can be versatile, I would recommend getting the cloth diapers, and I'll include them in the description below. If we're gonna look ahead a little bit into when they start eating solids, I will say I don't think that you need a real high chair. If you want a high chair, you can look into your options, but with my daughter, I just used a booster seat. and it was great. I went to Target. I got I think it was Ingenuity or something like that. I got that booster seat. It was $40, I believe. I would put her on the ground. It comes with a little tray and she can sit there and eat on it. She has a whole little setup. I will say that particular one has a small tray, so sometimes it's more convenient to just put the food directly on it. But as they get older and you need more tray space, it's a booster seat. So you can just put it at your dining table or whatever you may have and sit them right up to it, and there's a strap that attaches to the seat because it acts like a booster seat. So that's a really convenient, versatile thing that does not take up a lot of space at all. I loved it. I would just like tuck it to the side when I'm not using it, and then when I needed it I would pull it out, and I used that for a while because it turned into a booster seat. So that's a really good product that's minimal and very cost effective and works very well. Now as far as like getting around and stuff, of course, you're going to need a car seat. That's essential. Like you can't really get around having a car seat. But what I will say is there's two types of car seats. There's an infant car seat and there's a convertible car seat. If you get an infant car seat, it's made for small babies. And what's convenient about it is that you can pop it in and out of the car into a stroller. But then you're gonna have to buy a larger car seat once they grow out of the infant car seat. So if you're looking to save money, then I would look into getting a convertible car seat because you can just get that right off bat and it's going to last way into toddler years. So that has much more longevity than an infant car seat. So I would recommend getting a convertible car seat for sure. And then of course you have to think about strollers, how they can get around. So this is definitely something that is, well, I don't want to say controversial, it's not controversial, but it's something that like is very debatable or just really depends on how you see yourself and how you see your life set up. But I didn't buy a stroller until my daughter turned 1. I used my carrier, which is, for me, I believe is highly recommended. I love my carrier. I used it when I'm walking around the house. I used it when I went out places. I used it everywhere, and it was my baby's happy place. So if you can just get like a solid carrier, that is what I would recommend. They are happy there. You can do everything. They fall asleep in there. I even got so used to it, I was able to breastfeed in there. So that's good because if you have your convertible car seat, you can use that there. Then when you take them out, you put them in your carrier and you go about your business and do what you have to do. Now, if you feel like you really need a stroller, then of course that's not really something you can get away from. But what I would recommend is if you want to save costs, is to look places like Facebook Marketplace, or even look on Facebook for, I believe there's like stroller swap or stroller sale Facebook pages where you explicitly find people who are just trying to get rid of their strollers. So just like, look into that kind of stuff. So, just explore your options with that if you're trying to save. I really think you can get away with not having a stroller for at minimum the first 6 months because they're little, they're light, you carry them, and honestly they're so happy in there. With my daughter, when I had her in the stroller, because I did end up getting a Duna because I traveled a lot, so I needed that, and that's another alternative actually. So I did have the Duna, which is a car seat stroller. So that one, if you want like an all-in-one, you could use that for the first year. You can use it as it serves as both, and then once you get to the year mark, then you can splurge on a separate car seat and stroller. But the Duna is not cheap, so it's about $500, so that's a thing. But it is 2-in-1, so it's something to consider. And if you can get that secondhand from somebody for a much cheaper price or for free, then you're really good. So basically convertible car seat and a carrier, or maybe get something like a Duna. And then if you want to splurge on both and get a car seat and a stroller, of course, that's up to you. But I would say those are like different ways you can play with it. Of course, you'll need somewhere to put your baby's things, like a diaper bag. Although I absolutely love my diaper bag, which is a HAP bag, you really don't need an exclusive diaper bag. You just need a bag to put your stuff in that's a nice size. That can be a purse that you have already. It can be a backpack. It can be a crossbody bag that has a lot of space. You just need a bag. The more pockets, the better, so that at least you can kind of like organize what's inside of it. Or if you have a big enough bag, you can just buy a bag organizer off of Amazon for fairly cheap. Like, you don't have to spend $100, $200, $300 on a bag. I just recommend that whatever you choose, make it something that you will enjoy wearing or feel comfortable wearing pretty frequently, because you are going to need a bag to carry around your baby's necessities with you. The last thing to consider that I don't think is a must-have is a swing or a bouncer. I don't really think you need one. My daughter, I barely use one with it. She just didn't want to be in anything. She just wanted to be with me, really. Or if I put her down sometimes, like especially with my son, I would put a flat mat on the floor and lay him down. And he was just like there and looking at stuff, or, you know, they don't need much. You just don't need much. You don't have to have a swing or a bouncer. Thing about it is, like, with that, you don't know what your baby is going to like. Like, you can buy all those things and they hate everything. I had the Mamamoo, my baby hated it. I had a swing, my baby lasted about 7 minutes. So she just didn't want to be in those things. So with those, I would say if it is something that you're on the fence about, I would say don't get it. Or I would say borrow it from a friend or test it out, see if your baby even likes it, if it's something you want to waste your money on. But it takes up a lot of space and it's just really not a necessity. Especially if you're okay with like wearing your baby, then you really don't need it. One thing I did do, and this kind of it crosses over into bath stuff, is that I got I think it's called the Angel Baby or Angel Care Baby bathtub. It's such a simple bathtub setup, but it's kind of like at a little bit of an incline. And I used to use that as like my little placeholder for Leia. So like where you might use a bouncer for, I just would lay a blanket on it and put Leia in it. So that was like a 2-in-1 for me. It was my bathtub and it was Leia's little like prop up seat area. And she loved it. I used it all the time when I was using the bathroom. I would just put her on the floor in front of me in it. And she was looking at me and we'd just be hanging out in the bathroom. I'm actually going to insert a picture so y'all can see. I use that so much. So yeah, once again, it's like you just don't really need a bouncer. Now, of course, it's not going to help them go to sleep or anything, but you know, I just rocked my baby or breastfed her and she fell asleep. So I didn't necessarily need a tool to help put her to sleep. Okay, so since we're on the topic of sleep, of course, there's a question of where is your baby going to sleep? I personally co-slept with my babies. I did buy a bassinet, but yeah, that ended up being a storage unit. I did not use it. My baby hated it. We both lost sleep with her being in that. So I ended up co-sleeping with both my babies, bed sharing with both my babies. I love it. It's so convenient and easy for me, but that's besides the fact. I use the Safe Sleep 7. I follow that for like safe sleep practices. But yeah, so you really don't need to buy a bassinet. But that's up to you, of course, and how you decide to sleep with your child or have that set up. But yeah, that will save you a lot of money. And I mean, honestly, that's what most people around the world do anyways. They just sleep with their baby. I would recommend getting some blankets for your baby just so that when you're going through the day or whatever, if you do want to swaddle them, you can use it as a swaddle. If you need to use it as a blanket during the day, you have that versatility with it. A muslin blanket may be good, or I like stretchy blankets for swaddling, but I don't think it's that deep. I just think you need a blanket, and probably one that's on the thinner side so it's more versatile. And then a sound machine. Ooh, I want to say it's not a must-have, but it's a must-have. It's a must-have. It is. It's just a must-have. I love my sound machine. I don't know what I would do without it. So, but you know, it's not that expensive for a sound machine. If you really want to get like a top of the line one, then you can splurge a little bit. And when I say splurge, I mean like, I think maybe like $40. Or you can even like make do and get like, I think they have like the shusher or whatever that's supposed to be for strollers, but I don't see why you can't use that in your house, you know? Or if you really just refuse to buy a sound machine, then you can just not use one. But it is helpful because when your baby is asleep, you can put the sound machine on and not be concerned about making too much noise or dropping a pod, or if you have 2 kids or your toddler like going crazy and waking up your baby. So it is very useful for me. It's comforting. I love it. I think it's soothing for the baby. But like I said, if it's something that you don't see yourself buying, then maybe you can use your phone or another electronic device you may have. You can play it on there. You can even play it like if there's a TV in the room, you can go on YouTube, you can search white noise black screen and play it, and that can be your white noise. So you don't necessarily have to have a sound machine. Oh, and you can even use a ceiling fan. A ceiling fan can kind of be like white noise too if you have one, or just if you have a fan in your house, you know, the stand-up fans even. Those all serve as like essentially sound machines too. So, you know, you can play around with that one, but I can say it's hard for me to say don't get it or don't use any white noise at all. But with sleep, I mean, really, I've only just said blankets and white noise machines. So, you know, it's not that much. I would say if you plan on having your baby like sleep sometimes, like my baby, although we co-sleep, when they were napping, then they would be by themselves and I would be going to, you know, do my thing, clean, shower, whatever. And so I'll need something to watch them. So I did use a baby monitor, but you do not need an expensive baby monitor. In fact, I kind of like the cheaper baby monitors. I started out with one that was more expensive and it was like an app in my phone, but really it was annoying because I would want to be using my phone or something, but then I have to click out the app and I can't view my baby anymore. So I ended up just going to Target and buying one of the ones that has a, well, I have one right here that I'm using, that it provides a monitor for you, and so you can just watch it. So like, you know, I can be on my phone, I can be watching my baby and recording a YouTube video. So yeah, I really love this kind. This is the best. If you want to save, I would just get the cheapest one that works. Like, you just need to be able to see your baby and hear them. It's really, you know, it's not that deep. Let me tell you, the one I had when I was in Chicago was the cheapest, lowest quality thing ever, but it worked. I don't need to see like your fingers. I just need to see your body. Are you moving or are you still? Are you sleeping or are you awake? Are you making noise or are you not? And that's all I really need. So, and that's what it did. This one is a little bit like higher quality. Like I said, this one is infant optics, but I do recommend getting a baby monitor. So the last two things for sleep, I would say would be a pacifier might be something you look into. I did not breastfeed with I breastfed. I did not use a pacifier with my daughter. She didn't want the pacifier. She wanted my breast, and eventually she started sucking her thumb at about 4 months. So I told myself with my son, I really wanted to introduce a pacifier, just so that I had more flexibility, and I also didn't want to create the dependency on the thumb. So I did introduce one to him, and I absolutely do not regret it. If the pacifier is something that you want to use, I would just recommend getting the MAM pacifier that's glow in the dark. It's so nice for when they're asleep and the pacifier is out of their mouth and you may want to try to find it in the middle of the night. It's glow in the dark, so it's very easy to find and see. You do not want to be scrambling for a pacifier in the middle of the night, so that's a really good option. And then the last thing, of course, would be clothes. I mean, the last thing in the sleep section would be clothes. So I think this depends on two things. One, what is the climate in your area or the climate in your bedroom? Because if you live somewhere up north that gets cold frequently, then you might want, you know, long sleeve clothes. If you live somewhere like me, South Florida, it's hot all the time, so you might need more short sleeve onesies. But basically, I would just recommend, so if you're trying to save, I would recommend just getting a lot of onesies. I don't think that you need too much outside of that unless you're going to be going a lot of places. And I mean, your baby can sleep in a onesie, and when they wake up, it's not like you really have to put a new outfit on them. Like, they're clean, you know? So they can wear that until they get messy again, or until you give them a bath or do whatever, then you can change it. So you don't need like to go crazy with their clothes. And when they're little, like, they're not, I mean, all my baby wore was onesies. I didn't really dress her up or him in a bunch of like cute clothes and stuff. And when I did, it was mostly things that were gifted to me. And so if you have a baby shower, people just love to buy cute clothes. So they're probably going to buy some stuff if you are fortunate enough to have a baby shower or to have people gift you things. And, you know, if you have family or friends that have babies, you can use hand-me-downs, and that's a great way to get, like, you know, be able to switch it up without having to spend or splurge on clothes. But as far as sleep goes, if you are willing to use something that makes your life a little bit easier, I do love knotted gowns. This is not a must-have, it's just something that I love, because instead of having pants, the bottom is almost like an open dress, and you tie it up to have it enclosed to keep them warm. Or if you want to do a diaper change or anything in the middle of the night, you just untie it, open it up, do that, and then pull it back down. So it's basically like wearing a dress that you just knot at the bottom. But you basically just need some onesies, some short sleeve onesies, some long sleeve onesies. Gerber has them. You can really just play with that. But I will say I prefer zipper onesies over the snap, because it's just quick up and down. The thing is, if you want to picture what the night is going to be like, it's dark, it's dim, you just want to get your baby back to sleep and make everything quick. You don't want to make too many noises because you don't want to fully wake up your baby. You know, you're trying to keep it like calm and zen mode. So you don't want to have snaps that are making these snap sounds. You don't want to have Velcro that's like when you're opening it. You know, you don't want to be scrambling to try to match the snap and go. So zippers are very easy. That's why I love them. And I preferably like when things have the two-way zipper. Those are my favorite. Nonetheless, I would just say zippers, onesies, and if you can, get some knotted gowns. All right, and last but not least, bath and body items. So of course you're gonna need a diaper. Your baby's gonna need to, you know, use the potty. That is totally up to you. Of course, I recommend getting diapers. I like disposable diapers. I've heard people talk about cloth diapering, but I actually don't think it's cheap. So that's something that, you know, you may want to research a little bit more, but you're gonna need diapers. You can't get away from that. You can look into different brands, try different brands, ask friends what they like. I used Honest, I used Coterie, I used these two other brands that were very sustainable. They were, I think, Bamboo diapers and Andy Pandy, but those were a little bit on the more pricier side, which is what sucks, because it's like when you want to be sustainable or natural, it's like you got to pay the price for it. But I would look into that. I would see if you could do a diaper fund. One thing I would recommend is try to get a diaper that has that blue line in the middle so you can see when they pee. It's nice to know, because you may think like, okay, I can feel the wet diaper, and you kind of can if they have enough pee in there. But when they're babies, their pee is a lot less because, you know, they're small. And then also when if you're a breastfeeding mom, you just want to kind of like know that they're urinating so that you know that they are consuming breast milk, because they consume the breast milk, the input, and they have the output, which is the pee and the poop. But yeah, so that's helpful. That's the only thing I would recommend with diapers. So you have your diapers. Of course, you're going to need wipes. You're going to need something to clean your baby with. I love using water wipes, but you can get any brand wipe that you prefer. The only thing I will say is that if you are like really on a budget, or you really want to use more like sustainable items or something, then I mean, like, really, you can just use a washcloth or something and clean your baby that way. Or you can actually go wash them off. Like if they do poops, you can clean them off under running water. But nonetheless, you're gonna need diapers and something to wipe your baby with. You do not need a changing table, like, by any measure. That is, to me, it's just really unnecessary. That is 100% a convenience thing. You do not need one. You don't even need a changing mat. Like I said before, I used the cloth diapers as a burp cloth, and I used it as a changing mat, if I even needed one. But I change my baby like wherever I'm at. Like, let's get it like the couch, the floor, the bed, like whatever. I'm just changing her or him wherever we're at. So I would just lay that down below and do the change. You can use a towel, you can use a washcloth, you can use an old shirt, like you can use whatever. You do not need a specific item to change your baby. That is just a luxury and extra convenience. It's just not a necessity. And you really might just truly need it for when they have like big blowouts or poops. You might want to lay something down, because those things go all the way up their back. Other than that, you can just like, you know, also lay a diaper, the clean diaper underneath the dirty diaper while you're changing them. And then, you know, you do a whole little switch out, and that prevents anything from like touching. Now, to bathe them, it is nice to have a bathtub, something that fits their body and their mold. Like I said, I use the Angel Care baby bathtub. It's so simple. It's really easy to clean. It's very lightweight. You can move it around with you anywhere you want. And like I said, for me, it was like a 2-in-1, because I used it for baths, and I also used it as like a placeholder to put my baby down. So that was a really, really good one. And it's very inexpensive. So as far as like lotions and baby wash, you can buy products that are specifically marketed for your baby, or you can just buy products that are more on the natural side, and you guys can share it. You can buy natural bar soap, you can buy natural lotion, and you all just share it. I do recommend like more natural, because you don't want to put too many fragrances and stuff on their skin, but you just don't need to go all out and buy all these baby products that are specifically marketed for your baby. I just think the fewer ingredients, the more natural, you all can use it as a household. And I think that also goes for like towels and washcloths. Like, you don't need to have a special baby towel. You can just use a nice clean towel in your house. We just get so caught up in having to need all these specific little items for your baby, and it's just not necessary. Nail clipper, I do recommend. Their nails, I think because they're so thin, they're like razor blades. They're so sharp. They will scratch themselves. They will scratch you. So you do need to keep their nails trimmed, but you don't necessarily need to buy anything to do it. I know someone who would bite their baby's nails. Like, it would literally be like therapeutic. They would bite their baby's nails, and that was how they trimmed it, so they didn't need to buy anything. Or you can try using your own nail clipper. I was comfortable buying a baby nail clipper just because it had like a little window so I can make sure I was clipping it properly. Just something to think about. For organization, I know a lot of people recommend diaper caddies, which it is really convenient to have a diaper caddy. But if you don't have the space or you don't feel like spending on that, you can just find a drawer in your house and that can be your dedicated area. And really, if you live in a smaller space or if you're in like an apartment, everything is pretty much like in reach. You don't have to go too far to grab stuff. So if you just have everything at your bedside in a drawer, it doesn't take much to walk to your bedroom. You know, like I remember I was in an apartment with my daughter and I kept everything in one spot and it took nothing for me to walk from the living room to the bedroom to just grab my stuff. So you don't necessarily need to have like a whole caddy situation. Just have your bath stuff in the bathroom, your sleep stuff and some diapers in the bedroom in a drawer or whatever, you know, like you can just have regular storage for it. But if that's something, if you're like a person who really loves organization, then you can get a diaper caddy that's portable, or you can get like that 3-tier cart and roll that around wherever you need it. The last two things here I would say is a snot sucker. So a lot of people recommend the Frida Baby Snot Sucker, which is a really useful tool if your baby gets sick in the first year. So with this, it is useful. So if you can get it, go ahead and get it. I used it a lot with my son because he got sick so many times because my daughter went to preschool and would just be bringing home little sicknesses and germs. It was a lot. So I did end up using mine frequently. But I will say with my daughter, she did not get sick not one time in that first year. But those were COVID times. We were in a pandemic and we basically went nowhere, so she wasn't exposed to anything. And when we were, you know, everyone was like wearing masks and not touching anything and washing their hands 50 times and sanitizing. So I didn't run into that with her. But anyways, why am I even saying all this? Oh, because it's not sucker. It is a convenient thing to have. But now, guys, my mom, this is a grandma thing. My mom doesn't even use that. Like if one of my babies have a bunch of boogers, she puts her mouth to the nose and just sucks it out. Oh my God, when I think about it, it freaks me out. I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? And like, it's my baby, but I can't take it. It's just, so if you feel like you're that type of person, you don't even need a snot sucker. You can just go right ahead and suck that thing out or right out your baby's nose. But you know, Mom, I hope you don't mind me saying that on camera. Yeah, so, but you know, babies can't blow their nose or anything. So when they have a lot of boogers and drainage and mucus, it needs to be taken out or else it's gonna just kind of sit there and build up, you know, and then they have to breathe through their mouth and they can't breastfeed when their nose is clogged because they're sucking, so they're supposed to be breathing through their nose. It's a whole thing. The last thing is like you may want to use a diaper balm if you ever like see any redness or rashes. I will say I barely ever had any issues with both of my kids. Barely ever got diaper rashes, if I'm being 100% honest. Like they maybe developed the slightest bit of redness, but I like Earth Mama diaper balm, and that's like it's relatively inexpensive as well. Yeah, but I feel like that's really it. You don't need that much. For toys, you know, in the first 6 months, they don't really need much. They really just lay there and stare a lot. But thrift stores might be a really good place to look to find some toys. I even know of them having like wooden Montessori high quality toys that people give away. You can find a lot at a thrift store. You can find a lot at Facebook Marketplace. That's a great place to look. If you go to buy something from someone, you can even ask them like, do you have any extra items that you're willing to give away? And you may end up having a lot more. So look into Facebook Marketplace. And then if you have friends that also have a lot of extra toys, you can ask them, because we love to get rid of the toys because, oh my God, you just accumulate and then it becomes so messy and overwhelming. So ask friends if they have toys to give away. We love it. We love it here. We love to give away toys. They don't need too many toys. When I tell you they like playing with the remote, your phone, the cardboard box, they like playing with just the most random things. So you don't even need a lot of toys, even once they're able to play. They really just like to do the things that you do. They like to do household work. With my daughter, she would, you know, if I'm washing dishes, sometimes I would literally put her up in the sink so she can play in the water while I'm washing dishes. She would help me throw stuff into the laundry room. She would, if I'm opening a package, she starts playing with the cardboard box. Like, you know, it's also good for them to just really interact with you and do things that you're doing. So you don't really have to get too caught up in toys. So I think that really covers like most of the must-haves and the true needs. I didn't even have a room. I still don't have a room for my kids because they're all still in my bedroom. Oh my God. I never set up a room for my daughter and I never set up a room for my son. So I didn't spend on a crib and decor and a light and all these things. Like, no, we're just a happy little family sleeping together, you know? But yeah, I hope that this like ease your mind and really let you know that you don't need a lot for your baby. I hope that I was able to truly help you like fine tune what you need and find ways to save as well. But good luck on your motherhood journey. If you have any questions about any items or any specifics, just let me know. Drop them in the comments below and I will answer them to my best ability. And make sure to like and comment if you enjoy this video. And make sure to subscribe if you want to see more. But thank you for watching and I will see y'all next week.
I'm thinking you were made for me. Isn't it my birthday yet? 'Cause I got